With the 27th overall selection in the 2025 NHL Draft, the Washington Capitals are proud to select from the Moose Jaw Warriors, Lynden Lakovic.
Lynden Lakovic has had quite the summer. Moose Jaw Warrior captain, of course, went to the draft combine, and then he was off to the draft, and then from there it was off to Washington, D.C., and then it led to pen to paper becoming an officially signed prospect of the Washington Capitals. Obviously, Lynden, that's what I want to start off right now. Congratulations to you as you put pen to paper to be an official signed prospect of the Washington Capitals. What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, thanks, James. It was pretty special. Going into the week, I had no idea where it was going to end up, and 7 days later, I'm a signed prospect with the Capitals. So it was pretty special and an incredible moment for me and my family for sure.
Let's go back to the start, and that's the time leading up to the NHL Entry Draft. Can you, put into words what's running through your mind as you're making your way down to Los Angeles and not knowing what the next 2 days holds for you?
Yeah, it was definitely some nerves, but a lot of it was out of your control, and you kind of just had to accept whatever happens happens. It's what you make most of the opportunity, right? And at the end of the day, it's just a number. If that's pick 7 or pick 27, and I was just fortunate enough to be drafted by Washington, and but yeah, it's hard to describe, but definitely some nerves, but you kind of just have to accept it.
Can you describe the process? A lot of people may not know. They just know you go to the draft combine and you get tested a lot. Can you maybe, describe to fans, how the combine works, probably more so off the ice, especially with the interview process that you go through, and how you felt that process kind of helps you leading into the NHL entry draft?
Yeah. So when you get there, you're down there for a week, and when you get there, you get all your merchandise and all that sort of stuff, and you get your interview list and your schedule for the week. So the first couple days you hammer out interviews, and those they schedule it with the teams that want to meet with you over the week. And so an interview is 20 minutes long. It's with representatives from the team, if that's GMs, if that's head scouts, kind of everybody. And yeah, so like I said, they're 20-minute interviews, and you kind of go on to the next, and that's kind of the interview process. For example, I'm pretty sure I think I had 25 interviews, something like that. So it was quite a busy week. And then obviously later in the week, you get onto the testing, and they go over that stuff with you before. And, you got all the teams there watching you, writing their notes. And, after the combine, if a team would like to meet up with you again, we'll do a Zoom call with you, with everyone in their organization right before draft leading up to it. So, it was a real good experience. And, through my interviews throughout the year, I just felt more comfortable, talking to management. And, at the combine, I felt confident. And leading up to the draft, I felt confident. And like I said, it's kind of out of my control. There's nothing else I could do. And it's what you make most of the opportunity.
There's a lot of interviews with a lot of teams. And when you reflect now, do you think there was a moment or something you said with a Washington representative, whether it was with, assistant general manager Ross Mahoney, who lives in Regina? I'm sure he got a chance to talk to you several times. Do you think there was something that caught Washington's eye throughout this process before the draft with you?
Yeah, well, at the combine, Ross was there, and the first question he asked was, what's better, Moose Jaw or Regina? And I go, oh, Regina stinks. And I had no idea he was from Regina, and it got a good laugh from all the other scouts in the room. And I kept my word on that, and I still told him this week that Regina's awful, but we'll put that aside. But I think it was the character I showed, and just the outgoing personality I have and the drive that I have. And, I think they really like that a lot. And obviously, the tools I have, with my size and my skill sets. So I think those are all attractive things, and it's all they wanted in a player, I think.
I know I talked to Jason Fitzsimmons, who's a Moose Jaw Warriors Hall of Famer. He manages Washington's minor league affiliates in South Carolina and in Hershey, and he was thrilled to have a fellow Moose Jaw Warrior into the fold now. I'm not too sure if Brian Sotheby, if you met him with his time with Washington over the past couple of weeks, but still, do you feel just that close proximity and the fact that Ross Mahoney maybe had a lot more viewings on you than a lot of other guys helped you kind of push more towards Washington?
Yeah, I think for sure. I know Ross. He probably came to quite a bit of my games, and I know when I was hurt, I was talking to a few other scouts in the press box for quite a bit. And Ross, he's a good friend of Ripper, and so I think that definitely helps for sure. And I had a feeling just throughout all the interviews and all the viewings and the people they've talked to, if I was still up there when they were picking, there is a good chance.
Talking with Warriors captain Lynden Lakovic, of course, signed prospect of the Washington Capitals. And Lynden, when you get to draft day, how nervous is it sitting in the theater, just waiting? It's got to be a very difficult time.
Yeah, it was definitely killing me for sure. Just waiting to hear your name called, and you see all these other guys go up there, get picked, and they're kind of doing their own thing. And it definitely is nerve wracking. Going into that arena, you're kind of just like, wow, this is awesome, and whatever happens, happens. And then once you're sitting there in that chair, and a bunch of names go off the board pretty early, and you're just waiting. It's like, is this me? And then next thing you know, you're waiting 10 picks, and it does get a little nerve wracking, but once you hear your name called, it's a lot of relief, and you couldn't be happier. And that was kind of my case. I couldn't be happier. I got down to Washington and had a great week at camp, so it was awesome.
I wouldn't want you to answer with any specific teams or anything like that. Leave that out of the equation. But as you're going through the draft, with discussions with you and your family and your agent, do you ever get the sense that this is now? And did you get that sense when it came to Washington at 27?
Yeah, for sure. There was definitely a couple of times where, I thought this could have been me. And, when I got to Washington, I kind of looked at my family and looked at my agent. So I go, this might be the one. And it just so happened to be. And so you kind of do get a feeling, but at the end of the day, you really don't know, like going into the day. I'll be honest, Washington, it didn't really cross my mind I could be there. And when it came to the time and they were there and I was there, I thought it definitely could be the one.
What did you think about the draft experience? A little bit different than what other guys have experienced. What did you think when they just opened that, I don't know, that room and you kind of go in the room, and there's the draft room that you talk to them through virtually as opposed to them being there. What did you think of that?
Yeah, it was definitely different. I mean, getting into the theater there, I mean, it was pretty cool. And they open the doors and you see the podium and you see, Bettman up there. So, I mean, that was a pretty cool experience. And they opened the draft room and they got management up on the board and you're talking to them. I think, it was a little weird, but it was different and I enjoyed it a lot. And, after that, talking to management, doing interviews, I mean, it was all awesome and such a surreal experience, I should say.
Kind of neat how you're going to the draft and you're bringing your hockey gear. This is probably the first couple of years that I've heard of that, players just bringing their hockey gear to the draft, and you head from there to your development camp. I'm assuming yours was the exact same thing when you landed in Washington D.C. What was it like for you? What were some of the first words that the Capitals management gave to you when you landed and were able to talk to them in person?
Yeah. The next morning I was on a plane to Washington. I landed there, talked to management, and, they were just, very excited to have me. And, I was obviously happy to be there. And, I worked with the development team and the coaches over the week, and I'm going to continue working with them. And, I think they understand the tools I have, and it's just using them properly and, getting ready and adjusting for the pro level game. I think is going to be the next step for me. And, they gave me some advice, and I'm going to take it back to Moose Jaw this year and help the younger guys out and help them learn from what I learned, and just be a good leader moving forward.
After some time at a development camp, what do you feel you want to work on coming back to the Warriors in the fall?
Yeah, I would say rounding out my 200-foot game and just staying in place, and getting pucks to the middle of the ice. I think that's going to be key for me. In junior next year, I'm moving on to the pro level of that game, and helping the younger guys out with just attention to detail and staying in place and competing and really utilizing their tools to the best they can.
What was it like to get that contract offer, Lyndon? That's got to be that's the dream, right? I mean, you put a lot of hard work in to get your name to the draft. You get drafted and hear your name, but to actually, have to write your name on the dotted line like you've dreamt about doing, go into that moment a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't feel kind of real. Like, the first step's getting drafted, and then, okay, well, next step, is pen to paper. And when I did that, it was right before an ice time, and it was pretty special for sure. I mean, it was kind of surreal. Like you just sign, you sign your contract that it still doesn't feel real. And then 5 minutes later, you're on the ice practicing and playing games. And, it all happened too fast. So I don't think it's fully sunk in yet, but, it's pretty awesome.
What's the splurge spend with the signing bonus? What would you like to get on that? Or is mom and dad saying put this money away?
They're definitely more towards saving it because I tend to be really bad with my money, but I haven't had anything planned yet for purchases yet. But I think I will treat myself and my family a little bit, and then plan to save it and use it when I need to.
Go back to that moment when you got drafted. Do you remember the look on your mom and dad's face? I've gotten to know your mom and dad quite well over the years. Amazing individuals. What was it like to share that moment with your mom and dad?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, I couldn't do it without them, and they've been a massive part of my development path and my hockey career. And I mean, it's just getting started, and to share that moment with them, it kind of felt like they got drafted too, and it was pretty special for sure.
Did you give a wink to your little brother and say your time next, and tell your brother that he's got to work hard now too?
Yeah, he's definitely grinding now, and I think I set the bar high for him, and he's going to be pushing to overpass me. He told me he's going 26 overall, so we'll see.
Lyndon, I know you have mentioned it in past interviews, just about, the opportunity and the relationship that you have with general manager Jason Ripplinger and head coach Mark O'Leary. What does it mean to you when you get drafted and it says, from the Moose Jaw Warriors? What does this team, what does this community mean to you? Because I know a lot of people are really proud to see you go with 27th overall to the Washington Capitals.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty special, and I couldn't have done it without the community and the management there and the coaching staff. So it definitely means a lot. I mean, it's a tight community, and they've been with me through thick and thin, and with the team through thick and thin, and it's definitely pretty special. And I couldn't do without them, and I wouldn't want it to happen any other way. And to come back there next year, there's definitely some unfinished business for sure, and we'll see where the year takes me.